It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, it's showtime. What's happening, everybody? The Geno Jones Show. I'm coming to you live. If you're watching me live, and I want to thank you. Like Frankie Beverly and May said on the song, I wanna thank you. So I do this Monday through Friday, live, right here, the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Please subscribe, share, like, and binge watch all my back episodes Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles. Once again, subscribe, share, like, and binge watch all my back episodes. Programming note, the live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be taking a holiday break. So Tuesday, it looks like Tuesday will be the last live show for 2022. Possibly Monday. Definitely Tuesday will be the last live show. And then the live shows will return in full-length shows will return on January 3rd. That's a Tuesday. So Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. So, all right, today, so I want to start off today. I want to shout out a very special Sagittarius. Any other Sagittarius is celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday to you, but a very, very special happy birthday as I shout out my man Groove Master Dre in my live chat room. Hey, so if you're watching me live for the first time or maybe for the 200th time, whatever, doesn't matter, feel free to jump in the conversation. And if there are any professors, especially college professors, I want to hear from you in a little bit. I want to get your take. But first, I got a very special Sagittarius that I got to wish happy birthday. And I was trying to pull a little surprise, and I was trying to see if I could get her on the show live, but we were having some technical difficulties. So a very, very special happy birthday to, if you are a fan of the show, and if you are regular in my chat room, you see somebody in the chat room every day named Mary Dixon. That's my mom. Her friends call her Peaches. I just call her Mother. My baby sister calls her Mulla, like M-O-L-A. And she has always been the wind beneath my wings. Still is. She's the one person that always believed in me as much as I believed in myself. Actually, my mother's the only person that actually believed in me more than I believed in myself at times. She's just an amazing woman. And love really doesn't describe how I feel about my mother. It really doesn't do it any justice. And, you know, it's hard for people to understand the type of bond that we have. I know a mother and a son relationship in many cases is very special. It's a very special dynamic, just like a dad and a daughter. And I saw this, somebody, and I want to get that. I think I saw like a video of Denzel Washington. And he said that a mother's son is her, I think especially her first son, since I'm the oldest and the only boy, is her last true love. I don't know because I'm not a mom, but the bond and relationship that we have it's like I said, love doesn't do it any justice. There are not enough words in the vocabulary for everything that my mother has given up and sacrificed for me, but not just me, but for my sisters, for her grandchildren, but especially for me, since I was the first. And she had a bright future, an honor roll student, and I was my dumb ass, I would be a breech baby and a C-section. As a matter of fact, my grandfather had saved tens of thousands of dollars 5 decades ago so my mother could go to college. So her college tuition would have been paid in full. But my grandfather worked for himself. So, you know, wasn't no health insurance, wasn't any Obamacare. So my grandfather paid for everything in cash. And then because of Mr. Breach Baby C-section, They had to fly a specialist in to basically save my mother's life and my life. So I could never repay her for everything that she has given up, like I said, for me and my sisters and my grandkids. But Mother, you know, like I said, I love you. When I say I love you more than life itself, that's how I feel. And I'm so blessed to have you here with me, still being the wind beneath my wings, being the one out of 4 people. I'm pretty blessed. You know, a lot of times you're lucky if you have one person that can save you from yourself. Because we all need somebody in our lives that can save us from ourselves. And it was a tragic example of that the other day with Brother Twitch, that he was in such a dark place that he didn't feel like there was anybody, anyone. He's got a wife, he had 3 young children, and it's just he was in such a dark place that he didn't have one person that he felt comfortable enough to confide in and reach out to that could have saved him from himself. And it's so important that we all have somebody to save us from ourselves. And I've always had my mother, so I've always been blessed. I have my grandparents, and I have Damaris and Boogie and Allie. But I got my mother, and she's the one person. When all of them know, it's like, he ain't listening. Mom, he ain't listening. Grandma, Daddy ain't listening. They know the trump card. They know they know my kryptonite is like, all right, we gonna call Mother. I'm gonna call Grandma. Jeannie, get on the phone. So I thank you, Mother, for being that for me. I thank you for being so many things, being a great example, and just being, being you and having a moral foundation and instilling the compassion, the humanity, the empathy, and showing me. I always say, my mother didn't necessarily teach me. She didn't teach me how to be a man, but she taught me how to be a better man. Things not to do and not to say, not to be violent and abusive verbally, physically, emotionally, mentally. And how, if you really love somebody, if you really love a woman, learn to love her not the way you want to love her. Learn to love her the way that she wants to be loved and needs to be loved. And that's a big difference. And it took me a long time to really figure that out. And she stayed in my ear, stayed in my ear, stayed in my ear. And one day, so I popped my collar. I finally got it. Thank goodness. Because the marriage is going to be like, all right, partner. The clock's about to strike midnight on your ass, so you have to get it together now or never, in essence. I'm kind of paraphrasing. But yeah. So thank you for everything. And God, thank you for just allowing me to have my mother here with me and with all of us in the land of the living as she continues to be the wind beneath my wings. Happy birthday. I love you. And I got through it and I didn't cry. I'm proud of myself. So I got to share, I want to talk about something, a video that I saw. So first of all, let me just say this up front. As a matter of fact, my number one guest co-host, you guys know Keela Carson. You see, Keela will be on with me tomorrow. But I promised that we wouldn't necessarily talk about this because her and I already talked today for about an hour, and I wanted to get her perspective as an educator, as a professor, currently teaching at a university, a college in Michigan. So there's a video. You may have seen it. You may have heard about it. So there was a 20-year-old black student, a young woman, 20 years old, at a historically black college and university, actually Wiston Salem State University, which is in North Carolina, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So apparently, and I know this because my baby girl, Allie, literally hasn't slept yet. She has been up since, it's Thursday. She's been up since Wednesday morning and literally pulled an all-nighter and didn't sleep because she FaceTimed us at like 6 in the morning and 7 in the morning, still finishing up, her projects. So I guess this video really kind of hit me differently in a lot of ways. So you got a 20-year-old young black woman, student. Apparently, according to the young lady and some of the students that I've heard, because there are a lot of videos, students who were videotaping this whole incident. So there was, I guess, a group project, and there was a presentation, and for whatever reason, the teacher felt that there was something about the project that was not done right. And so the teacher, I guess, basically was like, the young lady was upset because I guess the teacher wouldn't let them give the presentation. And according to the video, the young lady, she had been up like all night. So the teacher raises her voice according to the students. Because that part of the video I haven't seen yet. But the students said, well, you yelled at her first. And then the young lady, the young black woman, as the student, according to all the students in the class who were speaking up, even on the video, you can hear, you yelled at her first. So the teacher, who's white, a white female, says, apologize. And this young black woman is upset. She's like, so they're going back and forth raising their voice. The teacher's in the front of the room. The young lady is toward the back of the room. And the teacher says, apologize or get out of my class. And the young lady says, no, I'm not going to get out of my class. And then, I've seen some of the students that have been on social media, they were saying, well, basically, the teacher told her to get out the class, and had she left, that they would have all failed the project or the group presentation. And the young lady was like, I'm not leaving because I'm not going to walk out and then you can not just give me an F, but fail the class. So the teacher calls the police. As far as I'm concerned, she weaponizes the police. I didn't see any real attempt to really, so you go from you and the student are upset. And I get it. Look, so for all the professors, because I've had an hour-long conversation, I know that schools have protocol, and the protocol is if a student doesn't want to leave the class, basically, you, in theory, I guess depending on the university, call the police. But you had a young lady who never physically threatened the professor or any other student, who never verbally threatened the professor or any other student, who didn't walk up and approach the teacher in a threatening manner. In no way. They basically are arguing about this group project presentation. And the teacher goes from that to calling the police, the campus police. You got a black officer and a white officer. You can see the black officer. So, and the young lady's like, wait, are we doing this? So the young lady, you can see she begins to kind of diffuse the situation, because apparently from all the students who've been on social media, this black campus police officer, the students know, they have a pretty good rapport with him. There's another white officer. So the black officer, you can see the video, don't have to take my word for it. You can see this video. You can find it. It's out there. A lot of different social media platforms, a lot of news outlets, but you can just do a search on Twitter, Wiston Salem State University video, and you'll find it. And you can find the posts that a lot of the students, not just Twitter, because really I'm about done with Twitter. Instagram. As a matter of fact, if you do a search on Instagram, you probably do better on Instagram. trying to find some of the video, because have you heard one of the students say, "Is somebody taping this?" And there was another student, two females. One said, "I hope, is somebody taping this?" And one student said, "Everybody is videotaping it." They were. You had young black women, young black men, and this white female teacher. I don't know what class it was. I can't honestly tell you. But to go from a situation where teacher is raising her voice, the students raising their voice, never verbally threaten the professor, never physically threaten the professor, never verbally or physically threaten anyone else, and just said she's not leaving. So many schools have a protocol that the teacher could basically have a student expelled if she somehow felt that the student was being disruptive. But this is where I always, there's a term here, culturally competent. If you are going to be, because there's so many videotapes of white people, white women, and a lot of white women do this, but white men too. They will weaponize the police, knowing the kind of message that will send, and in many cases knowing how dangerous, because there's plenty of video out there to where police have been weaponized, where people, black people have been shot and or killed. You had the woman, the black dude that was a bird watcher in New York City. I think they were in Central Park or some park, and it was a white woman that was walking her dog in a park, to where you had to have your pet on a leash, and the signs all around the park saying, "Put your pet on a leash," and the guy in a very non-threatening, just, almost professorial-like, "Ma'am, would you please put a leash on your pet?" See the sign. All animals are supposed to be on a leash. So she goes from, "Who are you to talk to me?" to calling the police and saying that this black man is threatening her, and that she fears for her life. She feels that her life is in danger. Straight lying on the dude. But fortunately, he videotaped it all, and I think actually New York City police eventually, they filed a charge. I don't know if it was like false. It can't be false arrest because she couldn't, but she was weaponizing the police because she knew in most cases the police would take her aside and they'd probably do something to this black man that had this poor white woman in distress. So there's so much video evidence of that's been going on. So to these HBCUs, now you had an incident earlier this year in Tennessee State. You had a white male teacher that basically was standing over a black student, yelling and just being, he was really physically threatening manner, literally standing over this kid and yelling at him and just speaking to him in a very demeaning way. His ass got fired. So, listen, I didn't go to a HBCU because the college that what I wanted to do, which is to be in TV and radio and be on camera and on the air. My alma mater, Columbia College Chicago, has always been one of the best schools in the country for that. One of the best schools in the world for that, actually. But I know what the HBCU experience is like. I have friends that's gone to HBCU schools, and I've gone to a lot of homecomings and Southern Heritage Classic when I worked in Memphis. And I've enjoyed it. And had I not, and growing up in Chicago, you don't have any HBCUs really. You don't have any in Chicago at all. And you don't really have any near Chicago, not that close. So it was a whole different vibe. I didn't grow up in a city to where you had that whole HBCU experience. I really didn't know anything about HBCUs until I got into college. And I would visit, friends or, family that went to HBCUs. But the reason, especially now, the reason that so many parents want to send their kids to HBCUs out, and there's so many wonderful and positive things about HBCUs. But one of the things is that you hope that your son or your daughter won't have this kind of experience that they would get in what they call a PWI, or a predominantly white institution. I would expect this. We've seen video of, a young black woman that was harassed at Harvard and people calling the cops on her because she was just studying somewhere and just minding her own damn business. So I would expect that. So in the state of North Carolina, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, or Duke, I would expect that at that school. I wouldn't expect what I saw on video at Wiston Salem State University. Their chancellor, the head of the school, the chancellor, is a black man, Elwood Robinson. The teacher, I believe she's a white Hispanic teacher, definitely a white woman, Cynthia Villa-Gomez. So I can see that. So I'm recommending and urging everybody to give Chancellor Robinson a phone call at 336-750-2000. 336 area code 750-2000. So Chancellor Robinson's office, and you can go to their website, Wiston Salem State University. You can just Google search it. It'll come up. And you can get there. You can just Google search Chancellor Elwood Robinson. Google search his email address. And send them an email. Blow up their switchboard. Because what I saw on video was unacceptable. And like I said, my baby sister she's a teacher, not in college. She teaches upperclassmen in high school. But Keela Carson, my regular co-host, she's currently a professor at a college in Michigan. So, and she gave me the perspective of protocol and, the teachers, who are we to say that, how can you determine if a person feels threatened? But I can see the video. So my eyes are good. And I see a video to where a young woman has never physically or verbally threatened a woman. And the teacher, the professor, and the student are virtually on opposite ends of the classroom. And this young woman never walks toward the professor in a threatening manner. Once again, that's where being culturally competent comes in. When you go into these spaces, as a white person, as a professor in an HBCU, you have to be aware of all the microaggressions. You have to be conscious of the inherent bias. We all carry prejudice, and there's certain racial and gender tropes that we have, because we've been brainwashed and bombarded, by media and family and certain tropes and prejudice that, that we may have about each other. So you can't go into a space like this unless you understand all that. And if you can't see, I'm going to make it real simple. If you can't see every student in that classroom, if you can't see, now I don't know, because this teacher, this woman, Cynthia Villa-Gomez, she may not have children. But if you can't see your child, when you look into the face and into the eyes of every student in that classroom, if you can't see your child and those kids, then you really, really don't need to be in that classroom. Full stop. That's just my take. You don't have to agree, but you are in a position. In the medical profession, they say do no harm. At the end of the day, this is a place of higher learning, not what you just learn in books or that you learn in doing a group project or a presentation, but in terms of just social skills and just the encouragement. Your goal is to empower these children and to treat them like they are yours, because they are your children. They're spending more time with you than they are with their own parents. And your goal is to get them to be the best version of themselves. And yes, you have students, it's finals, they haven't slept in 48 hours, and they're hopped up on Red Bull or energy drinks or whatever. I get it, caffeine. Listen, my own daughter, literally, is probably still up now. Hadn't slept since Wednesday night, Thursday morning, or Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, I should say. All of Wednesday, all night, Thursday morning, all day. I get it. I got a nephew, my baby sister's oldest son. Same thing this week. But as a professor, the onus is still on you. I understand what your protocol says and your rules. But within the protocol, because people don't enforce protocol, just like laws. They say, well, the law says this and the rules. Well, when all of society begins to enforce the rules and the laws equally, because they don't. Because the law is not enforced the same way for a young black woman or man, a 20-year-old black woman or 20-year-old black man. I guarantee you, the law is not always applied the same to a young black person that they would to a 20-year-old white woman or 20-year-old white man. How do I know that? Because I've seen this hell is video evidence of it in classrooms and dealing with the police. All the videos, young, not so young white men and young women. I've seen videos of, a white dude literally try to run over a cop multiple times with a car. And they didn't shoot him. They arrested him without a shot being fired. I've seen videos of white men and women shooting at police officers, and they didn't shoot and kill them. So the law and rules are not applied the same to black people that they are as white people. That's just a fact. So you can get in your feelings and say, well, that's playing a race card. But you know what? Racists and bigots play the race cards, and misogynists and sexists, they play the gender card. So you can call it what you want to call it. But I'm going to call it as I see it. And the videotape don't lie. The videotape does not lie. I said yesterday, and I said it so many times, the most disrespected, unprotected, neglected person, not just in America, but on the planet, is a black woman or black girl. Period. Full stop. Malcolm X said it 60 years ago, and it still applies. It is still as true today, 60 years later, as it was when he gave a speech on May 22nd, 1962. 60 years later, it still applies. So I would just urge and recommend everybody, give Chancellor Elwood Robinson a call, 336-750-2000, 336-750-2000. Shoot them an email. Go to their website, Wiston Salem State University. Send Professor Cynthia Villagomez, an email. You felt that threatened. And maybe you didn't have a relationship, because I saw another white teacher came in. So you don't have any kind of relationship, and I can understand that, professional, with a black professor. They say, well, maybe I can get somebody that looks like this young woman, where this young woman may feel more comfortable. She may feel like this person really sees who she is and can see through whatever anger or anxiety, depression. And the video will break your heart, because as the police are taking this young, she's really hysterical. And she's like, I hate you, I hate you. It's like, really, it came to that you created. So you have done irreparable harm to this young woman. Regardless of whatever your protocol calls for, Common sense also calls for a professor to use some damn common sense. Or make sure that you don't come into that classroom with some kind of inherent bias. And then you had the kids calling her out. You can hear it on video. They were like, and you say that you love black people. You know, and then you see the woman, oh, it's like, oh, they're like, we ain't trying to hear it because you just showed us what you really think about black people by calling the police on this young lady because she wouldn't apologize to you when you, according to the students, you raised your voice first. And then she raised her voice back at you because you raised your voice at her. And now that's a crime. And then you had the cops came in, and you had the other cop, the white cop, who decided to take this kind of really, because you'll see part of the video, this is his posture. So he takes this very threatening, authoritative posture toward the young lady, and it's like this close to her. Then they put her in handcuffs. The black officer, his body language was never like that. So body language says a lot also. And our kids, our young people, they read that. We all can, but especially young people. So, and I don't listen. And I don't want anybody to lose their job. I don't. People, this woman could have a family. It's at Christmas. But some things you just can't come back from. Not at the same place. Sometimes you can come back from a situation, but you can't come back from a situation. You can't come back to the same place and come back from a situation. Sometimes you can come back, but you need to come back someplace different. So maybe Professor Villa-Gomez, maybe she just needs to find another institution to where she may feel more culturally competent. But at the end of the day, Chancellor Robinson, parents are spending a lot of money, I know, students spending tens of thousands of dollars a semester, not a year, a semester. You got 2 semesters. And they are not sending their kids, especially to a historically black college and university, for their daughter or son or grandchildren to have this experience. And to have a police officer handcuff a 20-year-old black woman who was upset and who got into an argument without physically or verbally threatening the professor or anyone else. Never walked up on her, never picked up anything, never said that she was going to do any harm to anybody. And the way to resolve it, that's what your protocol calls for. And if that's the protocol of the campus police, well, we need to get a whole new police chief for the campus police. And the chancellor, you need to handle the situation. And I think Professor Villa-Gomez, she might want to find another college university where she'll feel more comfortable and she won't feel so threatened by these students. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and especially you, and God most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. Programming note, the final live show for 1919. What the hell? Where am I going? The final live show for 2022 will be next week, probably Tuesday. Monday could be the final show. Definitely Tuesday. And then we'll take a holiday break, and then we will return. We will return live, full-length show on January 3rd. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show, CEO of Designer Cuts, Goose Creek, South Carolina, part of the Charleston, South Carolina Metro. You can check him out on Instagram. Check him out on Instagram. Kel be cutting up, KELBECUTTINUP. Allie Jones, the drip director, the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check her out on Instagram. It's lx.ncl_. It's that little dash below. lx.ncl_. And Bruce Gage, also wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram. Miglio D Mario Uomo, MIGILIO DIMARIOUOMO. Next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be Friday. Yes, the week in review. Let's get it on. Tomorrow, 9 days until Christmas. My guest co-host will be Miss Keela Carson. And we're not going to talk about, unless something really crazy happens, we won't talk about this Wiston Salem State University story. Because if we do, that'll be the whole show. Because Keela and I talked about it for a whole hour, went back and forth. But I wanted to get the perspective of a professor and understand how these schools tend to look at situations like this. But the video don't lie. It just didn't have to get to this. At the adults in positions of authority and power, at the end of the day, you are tasked to have more common sense, more wisdom, more patience. I get it's hard. And listen, teachers are going through a lot. That's why so many teachers are leaving. It's a lot. You're underpaid. They should pay y'all like they're paying LeBron and these soccer players, Lionel Messi and my man Mbappe with France and all that. Still, when you see the video and you see the pain and the horror in the eyes of this 20-year-old young black woman, it'll break your heart and it'll piss you off. All right? Until Friday, the next live show, this Friday. What's it? December 16th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Once again, thanks for watching. Pray for peace. God bless you. Happy birthday, Mother. I love you.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.